पहलगाम में टेररिज्म का बहुत ही घिनौना रूप देखा। इस दुख की घड़ी में जो मित्र देश हमारे साथ खड़े रहे, मैं उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। यह हमला केवल भारत की अंतरात्मा पर ही आघात नहीं था, यह मानवता में विश्वास रखने वाले हर देश, हर व्यक्ति को खुली चुनौती थी। ऐसे में प्रश्न उठना स्वाभाविक है, क्या कुछ देशों द्वारा आतंकवाद का खुलेआम समर्थन हमें स्वीकार्य हो सकता है? एक्सेलेंसी, हमें स्पष्ट रूप से और एक स्वर में कहना होगा कि आतंकवाद पर कोई भी डबल स्टैंडर्ड स्वीकार्य नहीं होंगे। हमें मिलकर आतंकवाद का हर रंग में, हर रूप में विरोध करना होगा। ये मानवता के प्रति हमारा दायित्व है। एक्सेलेंसी, अब मैं दूसरे स्तंभ सी यानी कनेक्टिविटी पर अपने विचार रखना चाहूंगा। भारत का हमेशा से मत रहा है कि मजबूत कनेक्टिविटी से केवल व्यापार ही नहीं बल्कि विश्वास और विकास के द्वार भी खुलते हैं। इसी सोच के साथ हम चाबहार पोर्ट और इंटरनेशनल नॉर्थ साउथ ट्रांसपोर्ट कॉरिडोर जैसे इनिशिएटिव पर काम कर रहे हैं। इनसे हम अफगानिस्तान और मध्य एशिया के साथ संपर्क बढ़ा सकते हैं। हमारा मानना है कि कनेक्टिविटी के हर प्रयास में संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता का सम्मान होना चाहिए। यही एससीओ चार्टर के मूल सिद्धांतों में भी विदित है। कनेक्टिविटी दैट बाईपासेस sovereignty, losing trust and मीनिंग। एक्सेलेंसी, तीसरा स्तंभ है ओ यानी अपॉर्चुनिटी। अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर कोऑपरेशन एंड रिफॉर्म। 2023 में भारत की अध्यक्षता के दौरान नई ऊर्जा और विचारों का संचार हुआ है। स्टार्टअप और इनोवेशन, ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन, यूथ एम्पावरमेंट, डिजिटल इंक्लूजन और शेयर्ड बुद्धिस्ट हेरिटेज जैसे नए विषयों को अपने सहयोग में जोड़ा। हमारा प्रयास था कि एससीओ को सरकारों के परे भी ले जाए। सामान्य मानवी, यंग साइंटिस्ट, स्कॉलर्स और स्टार्टअप को भी आपस में जोड़े। हमारे पीपल टू पीपल टाइम को दृढ़ता देने के लिए मैं आज एक और सुझाव रखना चाहूंगा। एससीओ के अंतर्गत एक सिविलाइजेशन डायलॉग फोरम बनाया गया। इससे हम अपनी प्राचीन सभ्यताओं, कला, साहित्य और परंपराओं को वैश्विक मंच पर साझा कर सकते हैं। एक्सेलेंसी, आज भारत रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म, ट्रांसफॉर्म के मूल मंत्र पर आगे बढ़ रहा है। कोविड हो या वैश्विक आर्थिक अस्थिरता, हमने हर चुनौती को अवसर में बदलने का प्रयास किया है। हम लगातार वाइड रेंजिंग रिफॉर्म पर काम कर रहे हैं। इस देश में विकास के साथ साथ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सहयोग के लिए भी नए अवसर खुल रहे हैं। मैं आप सभी को भारत की विकास यात्रा से जुड़ने के लिए आमंत्रित करता है। एक्सेलेंसी, यह खुशी की बात है कि एससीओ भी समय के अनुरूप इवॉल्व हो रहा है। ऑर्गेनाइज्ड क्राइम, ड्रग ट्रैफिकिंग और साइबर सिक्योरिटी जैसे समकालीन चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए 4 नए केंद्र बनाए जा रहे हैं। हम इस रिफॉर्म ओरिएंटेड माइंडसेट का स्वागत करते हैं। वैश्विक संस्थानों रिफॉर्म के लिए एससीओ सदस्य आपसी सहयोग बढ़ा सकते हैं। संयुक्त राष्ट्र की 80वीं वर्षगांठ के अवसर पर हम एक बार होकर यूएन रिफॉर्म का आह्वान कर सकते हैं। ग्लोबल साउथ की आकांक्षाओं को आउटडेटेड फ्रेमवर्क में कैद रखना भावी पीढ़ियों के प्रति घोर अन्याय है। नई पीढ़ी के बहुरंगी सपनों को हम पुराने जमाने की ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट स्क्रीन पर नहीं दिखा सकते। स्क्रीन बदलनी ही होगी। एससीओ मल्टीलेटरलिज्म और इंक्लूसिव वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर का मार्गदर्शक बन सकता है। मुझे खुशी है कि इस महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर आज एक स्टेटमेंट जारी किया जा रहा है। एक्सेलेंसी, हम सभी पार्टनर्स के साथ समन्वय और सहयोग के साथ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। मैं एससीओ के अगले अध्यक्ष किर्गिस्तान के राष्ट्रपति और मेरे मित्र प्रेसिडेंट जपारोव को शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
All right, you heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking at the SCO Summit. We've got a gist, in fact, we got the entirety of what he has said, and the clear ramification is that he has said what he needed to say, and I would say that he has gone one step ahead of that. There was no reason for the Indian Prime Minister to suggest that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization can become a multilateral forum beyond its intended purpose, which was to focus on Central Asia. He has gone and said that the SCO can be a fulcrum, a vehicle to promote multilateralism in the global order, and it's something that India supports. He's spoken about starting a civilizational dialogue framework within the SCO. Fine. He's spoken extensively about the Pahalgam terror attacks and combating terrorism, which is expected and also important. Specifically, he's talked about the Chabahar port and the north-south corridor. For people's information, the Chabahar port is located in Iran. It's a port that Indian companies are constructing. The reason for the construction of that port predated the current circumstances. That was at a time when Afghanistan was under had NATO forces in it, and the only land borders into Afghanistan are from Pakistan and from Iran. Afghanistan is a landlocked country. Remember, the Pakistanis are not very keen on Indian aid to Afghanistan going through their territory. So, Indian aid to Afghanistan, including the fact that we built their power lines, we built their parliament, we were providing them food aid, we still are providing them food aid, all of it was to go through Chabahar port in Iran. This led to the construction of the north-south corridor. So, the road that leads from the Iranian border, Iran-Afghan border all the way to Kabul was also built by India. So, that's the reference to context that he is putting over there. So, a lot of interesting things. The SCO is a forum that was constructed by the Chinese along with the Russians, who considered Central Asia their sphere of influence. India has economic energy interests in Central Asia. Our problem is that we had a border with Central Asia. We had a border with Tajikistan and Afghanistan, but that border was occupied by the Pakistanis and they haven't given it back. So, either we take it back and then we have a direct land link into this Central Asian region, or we have to then establish trade through other means. So, this is the context of what is going on. This is what has been said. Let me quickly get Ambassador Goyal, whom I interrupted as we got this the telecast of the PM speech. Ambassador Goyal, I'm hoping you had a chance to at least listen into part or hear part of what he has said. Some of it is pro forma, but an effort is being made to push India's position. So we are not talking about the BRI, we are talking about the North-South corridor, but we are also suggesting that the SCO does have a place in the multilateral fora of the world.
Absolutely, Rishabh. I think it was a good speech. Unfortunately, because of connectivity and the static on the line, I could only understand part of it. But from what I understand and from the summary that you have given to us on the panel, it's rather interesting. And in fact, I think you have captured the two important points made by Prime Minister in his speech, which are really to not limit Shanghai Cooperation Organization to its earlier objective as a kind of a Central Asian organization. It started as a mechanism to resolve territorial issues between China and the Central Asian states, which was actually a legacy problem since the dissolution of Soviet Union, etc., etc., etc. And then the focus became really security and counterterrorism. So when Prime Minister Modi mentioned making it really beyond that, as you said, it's clearly seeking a role for India in SCO beyond Eurasia.
I can't hear anything.
And number two, importantly enough,
Yeah, carry on, sir.
No. I was just thinking of something else which has just gone out of my mind. But beyond this, really speaking, from the discussion that we were having before, I want to come to one very central point. Prime Minister Modi is attaching considerable importance to SCO now because it is very clear that our earlier approach of hitching our wagon to the USA in the geopolitical terms, even without becoming aligned to the USA, has its own perils. And that depends upon who the president is, because the president with his executive powers can rock the boat or can basically go along to create further opportunities for its own friends and allies. President Trump has chosen to rock the boat. Now, I know everybody has said strategic ties are important, they will revert, etc., etc., etc. We have 3.5 more years for President Trump to go, who is highly volatile, highly tempestuous, very moody, and there is no predictability at all about the decisions that he takes. If we knew what his policies are, what the way he thinks, yes, we will. The only way we know is that we never know which actually might make him happy or which might actually make him upset. Therefore, 3.5 hours is a very important period for us. India is growing. The GDP growth rate is 7.8% this quarter, 6.5% average. And we look at ourselves with a destiny as an important power economically, politically, strategically, globally. Not just Asia, but globally. And we find there are challenges in the way. We need to meet those challenges. First challenge has come in terms of President Trump's, the way he looks at India. And it is not just tariff. The way he has begun to hyphenate India and Pakistan. Please remember that Ambassador Gore, who is coming to India, or who has been nominated to come to India, I don't think that we have already given the agreement for that name so far, but who has been nominated. He is also the ambassador for South Asia. You remember Richard Holbrooke, what happened, how we reacted to his appointment as ambassador for India and Pakistan? I don't think we are going to work in those kind of silos. It's going to create a problem for us. And President Trump has a certain way of looking at India, which is not very comfortable for us. And therefore, we are looking for other opportunities. And those opportunities we find in the region, elsewhere, Africa, Global South, etc., G20, BRICS, even if the de-dollarization is kind of a fear that President Trump has. I don't think we talk about the de-dollarization. The point really here is that when China is the dragon in the room, and we know that we have issues with China, we know, and as was said earlier, having a China-centric world, China as the hub of the world, again creates problem for us. But what is possible to do really is that in the meantime, when we come to a situation of that kind, we need markets. We need some economic diversities. And the markets for us are either domestic market, Europe, Africa, and China becomes a kind of support for us in terms of that economic policy. Nothing is permanent in this world. No friends, no enemies, but we need to find avenues. We need to find solutions.
Okay, just hang with me for a second. I'm trying to get in my colleague Megha, who's just at the media center right outside where these speeches are happening. Okay, Megha, so we've got a gist of what PM Modi has said. We've got a gist of what Xi Jinping have said. There are about 20 odd speakers. So where are we in the schedule right now?
The President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has just finished his address at the plenary session. We now have the head of state of Tajikistan who is making his address at the plenary session. Of course, the key points that have been brought into focus by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and I think it was something that was on expected lines. We've spoken, number one, about security in the SCO. When we talk about the SCO and the acronym over here, and talking about security, he has hyphenated it with terrorism, and he's spoken particularly about the Pahalgam terror attack that has happened. He said that it is not just a strike on India that happened when those tourists were killed brutally, but it is a strike on humanity itself. It is a strike on every single country across the globe. He even went on and thanked countries, leaders, heads of state who came out in support of India in wake of that gruesome, brutal, terror attack that struck Kashmir a few months ago. The Prime Minister, this has been an issue that India has taken up on the global forum, in regional security forums and groupings like the SCO that is in progress right now. So this was the number one issue that was raised, and like I said, on expected lines. There is a likelihood, I think, most certainly, it is going to be mentioned in the joint declaration that is released by the heads of the state once this plenary session gets completed. The second point that he raised was about connectivity, and with connectivity he linked trade. He linked people-to-people connect. He linked culture as well. And finally, when we talk about opportunities, the Prime Minister was quick to point out that there are a number of these international organizations, including the United Nations and other groupings, the World Trade Organization, which have become defunct because of lack of reform. And it was up to the multilateral groupings that have been built, the newer nations, the global south, the emerging countries of the world, economies of the world, that need to take it upon themselves to revive these traditional defunct organizations and infuse new blood into these groupings and into these organizations. So these were the 3 points that were touched upon by the Prime Minister.
Okay.
Key focus again is going to be, yes, the number one point that he made about countering terrorism, terror financing, and the support that he seeks from countries within the SCO grouping to come out and stand with India in this global fight against terror.
Okay, all right, Megha. Right before I take a break, let me take a last quick word from Professor Latham. Professor Latham, so now this of course ends in a few hours, all right? Some reset, realignment, on the economic side, even if we have peace on the India-China border, that's a good thing for everyone, including us. If Donald Trump's premise was that it's very dangerous for India and Pakistan to be shooting missiles at each other. It's even more dangerous for India and China to be doing the same for sure. So let me come back to the American context. So this ends, and we are not in a high level communication between Washington and New Delhi right now. That's our understanding. That's what's being reported in our press as well as in the American press, that the conversation at the highest level hasn't happened in the past few weeks. And that leaves an awkward spot, because the next American ambassador appointed to India has also had a lot of unsettling things to say about India. And he's going to be then sitting in New Delhi potentially in a few weeks after confirmation. So where do we go? How do we at least start talking about talking?
Well, I would say that both sides have to be at the same table to have a conversation about shared interests, and also a discussion about points of friction. I think the principal impediment there, obviously, is the Trump administration, which doesn't have a clear understanding. It understands that this liberal order has fallen apart, but it doesn't understand what's going to come next. It doesn't understand what America's role ought to be, and it doesn't understand anything about India and its history or role in the world. And until that gets sorted out in Washington, it's hard for me to see how this conversation can possibly take place, except in the usual Trumpian fashion of waving of hands and calling people names and things like that. So Washington really needs to get its act together first. And then we have to have, I think, modest expectations. India will never give up the relationship with Russia. Why would it? It's not rational to do so. India is always going to have an arm's length relationship with China. It's going to be sometimes on Team China, sometimes not. Why? Because it's the most rational thing in the world, given their respective interests and visions for the future. And until the Trump administration understands that the unipolar moment really is over, that the United States has to either revitalize those existing institutions or come up with new ones, like the SCO, but with a different kind of membership, I don't see a way forward. So I'm hopeful in the medium to long term. I'm a bit more pessimistic in the short to medium term.
Yeah, okay. We share your pessimism, but we also share your optimism, because like I said at the beginning, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. Thank you, Professor Latham, Ambassador Goyal. We take a break. We are back in a couple of minutes.
Under the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has established a model focused on the protection of cows and creating economic opportunity. This is a new policy of progress with tradition. A model scheme was brought in 2018-19 to solve the problem of destitute cows, and illegal slaughterhouses were closed in the state. Before 2017, there were only 102 cow shelters in Uttar Pradesh. By 2025, the number has increased to more than 7,700. Under the Chief Minister's Sahbhagita scheme, cows are being nourished through DBT for their maintenance. The CM Sahbhagita Yojana is an initiative by the UP government to provide stray cows in government shelters to eligible farmers, livestock keepers, or families with malnourished children. In return for caring for the cow, the caregiver receives a monthly assistance of Rs 1,500 directly through DBT. The UP government is further focused on creating an economy around cattle byproducts, including cow dung to paint and lamps, cow dung to vermicomposting and biogas, as well as cow dung to incense sticks and flower pots. The active role of women's self-help groups has created new employment opportunities in rural areas. This is UP government, a model for double engine, double development.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया न्यूज Newsx का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी। अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया न्यूज़ का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
I grew up in a household of strong women, so I just do what they tell me. It's very simple.
कि मैंने हिम्मत करी, मैंने कहा मुझे अगर कोई मौका मिलेगा मैं पीछे नहीं हटूंगी, क्योंकि मौके बार बार नहीं आते।
हमारे देश में दुर्भाग्य है कि महिलाओं का साथ महिलाएं ही नहीं देती हैं।
मैंने 5,000 वॉलेट से स्टार्ट की थी, आज 5 लाख 6 लाख मेरे हर वक्त वॉलेट में रहते हैं।
When a woman is surrounded by a family that motivates you to be your best and to be financially independent.
It's just you are beautiful and stunning, and you like it's a pleasure to just see you.
Being on Netflix in 192 countries worldwide, it is, I mean, that kind of exposure is.
मुझे खुशी हो रही थी। हमारे शानदार स्वागत और आतिथ्य सत्कार के लिए मैं राष्ट्रपति श्री का हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आज उज्बेकिस्तान का इंडिपेंडेंस डे है। कल किर्गिस्तान का राष्ट्रीय दिवस है। इस अवसर पर मैं दोनों लीडर्स को बधाई और शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। एक्सेलेंसी, पिछले 24 वर्षों SCO का पूरे यूरेशिया क्षेत्र की एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली को जोड़ने में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण योगदान रहा। भारत ने एक सक्रिय सदस्य के रूप में हमेशा कंस्ट्रक्टिव और सकारात्मक भूमिका निभाई है। SCO को लेकर भारत की सोच और नीति 3 मुख्य स्तंभों पर आधारित है।